He said, would you be interested in working with me on the theme song for this new TV show?
Welcome back to Faye's Place, a podcast where dreamers have the liberty to dream. I'm your host, Phaedra, and I am so excited that we have this time to dream together. In an industry where people keep constantly telling you just pick one thing, today's guest has built their career by embracing every part of their talent. From starring in A Different World and composing its theme song, to Broadway and animation, to even being the founder of A New Day Foundation. Dawn Lewis is here to talk to us about what it really takes to make it in the entertainment industry. Thank you for stopping by Faye's Place, Miss Lewis. How are you doing?
I'm blessed. Thank you. As my mama would say, blessed and highly favored.
All
Amen.
right now. Wonderful. So take us back to 5-year-old Dawn growing up
Oh
in
my God.
New York. What did she dream of becoming?
Wow. 5-year-old Dawn wanted to be a poet, a songwriter, an airline stewardess, and a double dutch champion.
Oh, I
Yeah.
love it.
Coming from Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn, you dream what is in your environment, but by the time I was 7, those dreams shifted slightly. I was raised by a single mom, raised myself and my 3 brothers. And like I said, in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn, New York, my family's from South America. So I'm the first female in my family born in the States, into a family full of economic traditions, employment traditions, faith traditions, none of which I fit the mold of at that age. I was precocious. I was educated beyond my age. My mom was an adjunct teacher. That was the job that she could get as I guess a teacher's assistant is what you would call it now, for the elementary school that was up the street from our house. So instead of just sitting around the house by myself, I sat in the back of the classroom while my mom was in school working, helping the teachers. So I was reading at a 3rd grade level by the time I was 7. So I was always ahead in school. And I have 3 brothers. And like I said, with mom working and trying to go to school, my brothers had to watch me. So I couldn't go anywhere that my brothers did not take me along with them, which was annoying to them. But at the same time, I had a blast because as a girl being raised in a Caribbean household, there's a list of things that girls are not supposed to be allowed to do. That's a boy thing. And my family had all kinds of sayings, half of which I did not understand growing up, but I knew it just meant no. Hens don't crow. All right. So that means what girls do, girls don't do what boys do. Things like don't make your eyes pass me means don't act grown. Don't think you're thinking ahead of me or acting ahead of me. You are the child. So by the time I was 7, I was tall for my age, surrounded by boys all the time. My mom got real nervous and said, I need to do something to get my child away out of the middle of all of these boys. So she started me in dance class. So while I was sitting in the back of the classroom, I'm singing. So I did my first concert when I was 4 years old at the school spring concert event. I bombed. I got on stage and got in front of the people and freaked out. I was amazing in rehearsal. I was flawless in rehearsal. The song was Getting to Know You from The King and I with hand gestures. I got there on stage in front of the people and stood there. And there's a photo of me standing there in my flower girl dress with my patent leather shoes and the teacher on the ground below me, like trying to remind me of the gestures. Finally got through it, begged for a second chance. They said, just go sit down. So that's the first lesson I learned, that you only get one time to make a first impression. And I was determined to never let myself be that frightened again. Whatever it is, just suck it up and do it, because people may not give you a second chance. You may not get a do-over. So now I'm dancing, I'm singing. By the time I'm 9, I'm dancing on the stage of Carnegie Hall. I'm dancing point, I'm tap dancing, I'm doing the gamut. And I'm singing, and I'm writing music on my little Magnus organ. You don't know what that is. Then you way too young to know what a Magnus organ is. It's this little organ with keys on one side and buttons on the other side that are the chords. And it came with a music book. And you push the chords and you play the notes on the rest of the keys. So I was writing music by the time I was 8 years old. And that was what I wanted to do. I saw Stephanie Mills in The Wiz, the original Broadway company, with Stephanie Mills and Hinton Battle and Ted Ross. And I looked at my grandmother and I cried. By the time she got to Be a Lion, I was done. I said, Granny, that's what I want to do. That right there. And she's my size. Little did I know she was, 8 years older than me, but she's a little teeny tiny thing. I want to do that. And so that became my journey, which was not always supported by the family, like I said, who has traditional expectations of what you do for a living, of how you spend your time spiritually. So me going to dance class and wanting to sing, for some of my family, that was a straight ticket into a life of sin. I was going into the devil's playground. No, you laugh, but when your grandmother looks in your 7-year-old face and
That's
tells
scary.
you, that's very scary. And you wonder, what am I doing and why am I here? So your mom takes my chin and turns it in the other direction and says, the only reason you're able to do what you do is because God blessed you with these gifts.
Come on,
Don't let
somebody.
anybody tell you anything different. The devil can use you, God can use you, you have to choose. So as long as you use your gifts and your talents to bring honor and glory to God, you're not doing anything wrong. And that's what I went with for the rest of my life. I listened to those voices. Was also raised in a house with domestic violence. So that could have been a whole other thing, where my mom goes to the police to report my dad, and they tell her that was a time in the 60s. Well, if you would just do what he would tell you to do, he wouldn't have to hit you. Yeah, that kind of reality. So in a lot of levels, I could have grown up to be a very, very different person, a person limited by my environment, a person adversely affected by what I saw and experienced. That was supposed to be love, but wasn't. By grace of God, my dad became a different person before he passed. And prayer works, and here I am. Because when I was growing up, that was what I was taught. You had to be a triple threat. Everybody I watched in the movies could sing, dance, and act. Everyone
Right.
from Lena Horne to Dorothy Dandridge to Bob Hope and Bing Crosby. Everybody could sing, dance, and act. That was what I thought was the only way you could be in this business and have a career as a performer. So that was what I set my mind to. And doors kept opening.
I love that because I'm also a triple threat. And I feel, like I said in the introduction, I feel like sometimes people just want you to just pick one thing. How were you able to sustain and just say, no, this, I can use all my talents?
You just do it. You just do it. People, whether it is education, it's never been good to do well in school. They call you goody goody, teacher's pet, all of those things. It's never been good. Well, it's never been popular. It's becoming more popular now, even if it's just in an esoteric way, to be a Christian and to say, I have a line, I have boundaries with what I will do and won't do. But, coming up, that's not always easy to stand your ground. When you're in the industry that likes to make things easy for themselves, which the entertainment industry is, it's very subjective. Very subjective. One person's high glamour is somebody, you're not pretty enough. One person's body acceptance is another person's body shame. And depending on what voices you listen to, sometimes you don't even have to have someone else say it to you. You say it to yourself. I'm not pretty enough, not smart enough, not tall enough, not skinny enough, not light enough, not dark. All the things that we say to ourselves to count ourselves out. And that goes back generations for generations of reasons. So you just have to decide what voice, whose voice are you going to listen to? There's no magic trick. There's no one way to do it. You have to stand convicted and committed to your commitments and just choose. And as far as I'm concerned, I didn't put in all this hard work for you to tell me no.
Come on, somebody.
You know what I'm saying? I didn't put in all this hard work as a musician, as a singer, as a producer, as an actor, as a performer, as a philanthropist, as someone who cares about their community and what happens to young people. I know what happened to me And that's why I want to stand in the gap for those coming behind me.
Now, you are responsible for one of the iconic theme songs in television history. According to me, it's one of my favorite. So I want to talk about that writing process. So, how did it start for you? Did you come up with the melody first, the lyric, the emotion? What was the beginning point for you?
I just finished doing a Broadway show, The Tap Dance Kid with Dule Hill, who's now a grown man. He was our kid at 10 years old with the legendary Harold Nicholas of the Nicholas Brothers and legendary multi-Tony winner Hinton Battle. I was on the road with them for just over a year. And the show was cast by the same casting company that cast The Cosby Show. So I heard about the Cosby Show doing this spinoff while I was doing the Tap Dance Kid. So I called the casting directors and said, please let me audition for this show. I had never done television before. I had done 2 pilots, neither of which had gotten picked up. But I knew this was going to be something special. And they said, no, we love what you're doing in the Broadway show. Just stay where you are. I was one of the principals in the Broadway show. I had just gotten out of college. And about 3 months after the tour ended, I'm still begging. They're still saying no. It's like, okay. So one day I get a call from the casting director, and I was down to my last unemployment check. No lie, no exaggeration. I was like, okay. So she called me and said, would you be interested in still coming into audition? Can you be here tomorrow? I said, absolutely. Are you kidding me? Sure, I will be there. An hour after they called me, the musical director for The Cosby Show called me. He had my cassette. Again, you're not old enough to know what a cassette is. I won't.
I remember it though. I do remember.
No, okay, great. The rest of y'all Google it. Thank you. So he had a cassette of my singing and songwriting. I had done an independent record deal with Dalmatian Records. I had just won the Apollo, the amateur night, and had been brought back as a special guest. Actually, I didn't win. I was runner-up for the Apollo, but they brought me back for the next couple of weeks as a special performance guest. So, okay. So I was pursuing recording career, writing career. So he had my cassette of my singing and songwriting. So an hour after the casting directors called me, he called me and said, is this you on this tape? I said, yes, it is. He said, would you be interested in working with me on the theme song for this new TV show? And at that point, I thought it was my friends playing a joke on me. I'm not going to lie. Because when does that happen? The casting director calls you back. The musical director calls you to come write a theme song for a TV show. It's like, okay. He said, well, I'm going to send the messenger to your house. This is the concept of the show. Denise Huxtable goes off to college. She's out of home for the first time. And it's a completely different experience for her. She's walking into a different world. Okay. So the messenger shows up at my house with this cassette with some music, some backing tracks. So he says, all right, I'll see you in the studio Friday. Now, mind you, this is Wednesday. And I said, don't you want to meet with me first to see what I do? He said, no, if you're the same person who did what's on this tape, I think you're going to be just fine. I'll see you Friday. Wow. So I called the casting director back just to make sure they weren't kidding. I said, did you call me to come and audition tomorrow? They said, yes. Is there a problem? I said, no. I will be there. It's like, okay. So now I'm looking through the yellow pages. I'm like, this is big. Y'all don't know what the yellow pages, y'all gonna Google a lot on this interview, okay? So
we're here to learn. We're here to learn.
All right. So Google Yellow Pages. It's a big, thick book that had people's phone numbers and directories in it that you can now just get when you go, hey Siri. We didn't have that. So I didn't know who to find. Like I said, I was just out of college, had no money. I had a textbook from one of the books I studied in school, This Business of Music, by Andy Feynman and Bill Krasilovsky. They happened to have an office in New York. I looked them up in the yellow pages and called them and said, do you have free legal aid? Do you have an assistant, a secretary, somebody that can help me? I have a situation that I'm pretty certain I need a lawyer for. They said, can you come in tomorrow, tell us all about it? I said, yes, sure. I went to my audition. They said, thank you very much. Don't call us. We'll call you. Okay. I left there. I went to the office of the attorneys. I explained to them what happened. They said, we would be happy to represent you. I said, okay, no, you missed the part where I told you I don't have any money. I just got out of school. I don't have any money. They said, no, we're impressed. with as young as you are, that you weren't willing to just sign something. So we are happy to represent you free of charge. And we just ask that you be willing to do the same, pay it forward when you're able. And I had never heard that term before. Never heard that term before. So I knew that what they were doing for me was huge. I sat in their office and I cried. I sat in their office and I cried. No one had ever done anything that supportive, that huge for me. And lawyers are expensive. I knew that even then. So, okay. So I go home and I basically write my story. When I graduated from the High School of Music and Art of Fame, I was 16 years old. I started college at the University of Miami in Florida at 16 years old. At 16 years old, I started my own degree program because, to your point, I went in as an applied voice major singing opera. But I had been dancing and acting and auditioning for most of my life. So I wanted to keep doing that when I went to college. Some of the courses they wanted me to take for my applied voice major, I already had in high school. I said, I'm not taking those courses again. I was in school on student loans and college work study. And for those of you who don't know what college work study is, it means you find a job on campus and your money, you make a bare minimum that gets handed to your hand. The rest of it gets applied to your tuition and whatever your school costs are. So that was how I paid for school, was college work study and student loans. So when I got called into the dean's office, she said, young lady, we weren't going to admit you because of your age, but what you're not going to do is come here and not go to class. I said, what are you talking about? I said, you haven't been in this class, or this class. I said, oh, I can explain that. I'm not in that class. I'm in this class, and this class. I'm in dance, acting, music, theater history. They said, well, who told you to do that? I said, Dean, no disrespect, but I'm paying for school. Y'all aren't giving me anything. So I figured I'm going to take the classes I want to take. And that's when she looked at me. She kind of cocked her head and said, okay, well, would you be interested in being the guinea pig for this new degree program? I said, well, what degree? The musical theater degree program. I said, okay, well, what do I have to do? She said, exactly what you're doing right now. I said, oh, great. Can I go now? She's like, no, we have to officially start the program. So I literally had to do a 45-minute audition for the classes I was already in and acing for the entire faculty of the School of Music and the School of Fine Arts. So I'm the founder and first graduate of the musical theater degree program at the University of Miami. Okay, so now flip to, here I am, I'm writing my story. I know my parent, and for me it was parent, because we were raised by our mom, our single mom. My parents got divorced by the time I was 7 years old. They had gone their separate ways. So I wrote, I know my parent loves me. She stands beside me, come what may, whatever. That's the same woman that took me by the chin and said, baby, God has blessed you. Turn all those other voices off. I wrote my story. But because it was about Denise Huxtable, it was parents. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
So I wrote my story. So I wrote the melody, based on the chords and the arrangement that the musical director had sent me. I went into the studio on Friday and I recorded what I had written. And that's what we hear today. The original theme song, I was singing it. And then finally, a week later, when I booked the job, it wasn't until then that they found out I was the same person. So I'm in the meeting with the casting directors and Mr. Cosby, and I'm ready to audition and I'm nervous. And they're like, well, wait, Dawn, before you get started, Bill, what did you think of the song? It's like, oh, the song is perfect. The girl's voice is amazing. And this and that and going on and on. And I was like, excuse me? They said, yes, I just want to say thank you. They said, thank you for what? I said, I'm the girl. I'm who you're talking about. So it was clear to me at that point, they had no idea they had hired the same person to do two completely different jobs. And it was in that moment that I was no longer allowed to sing the theme song.
Oh my
They said,
God.
that's way too much attention on you, and it's not your show. It's Lisa's show. So we'll use the song, you'll be in the show, and that should be enough. And for all of you people out there who are interested in business, I tell people every day, show business. The word business is literally and figuratively twice as long as the word show. Don't get so caught up in the show that you don't handle your business, that you get so excited and so caught up by somebody seeing you or paying attention to you that you don't handle your business. Those attorneys that I went and saw that so generously represented me for free never allowed me to pay them a single penny right up until they both passed away. But what they did was they secured a contract for me that protected me when those people that I was working for were not interested in protecting me. He made sure I got 50 writer's credit and writer's share in the money, which was unheard of because the musical director, he wanted a majority of it. And my attorney said, well, then you don't need to use her melody or her words.
Okay.
Because the bottom line is Dawn wrote the song. You can change the arrangement, which they did every season. First season, it was Phoebe Snow. Then it was Aretha Franklin. Then it was Boyz II Men. Who knows what it's going to be when it comes to the reboot. But the song is the song. This is how the song goes. And that's what Dawn did. So she will get 50%. His response was, well, Mr. Cosby gets 50% of everything I do. And my attorneys responded, well, Mr. Cosby is free to have 50% of your 50%. But Dawn Lewis gets 50%. And she gets screen credit at the end of the show as the writer of this theme song. Cut to first episode. We're watching the first episode. My family, everybody, we're sitting around. We can't believe it. The credits roll. Guess whose name is not there?
No way.
They did not want to give me credit. Their response was, you are in the show. What else do you want? Like,
no
well,
way.
Yep. So my response was, well, it'd be kind of nice to have what's in my contract. How about that?
Okay,
So,
that part.
Yeah. So I talked to the producers and their response is, well, it's going to take some time for us to add your name. It may be a few months or whatever. So I told my attorneys and they said, don't worry, Dawn, we got you. That's why you hired us. The attorneys called the producers, called the network and said, you know what? We understand that there's some confusion and you have an issue about adding Dawn's name and it's going to take some time. Well, yes, that's correct. We'll get to it eventually. My attorney said, okay, well, fine. You take however much time you need. But until then, you are in breach of contract and will not be allowed to use the song. But you take as much time as you need. Whose name was there next week?
Okay.
Handle your business. Handle your business. Because even though you think people should do the right thing, they don't always do the right thing. And
it'll be the same one who you think, oh no, they're not gonna do that.
Exactly. Why? Why would you do this to this young up and coming writer who's one of the stars of your show and this and that, and this is such a great opportunity you've given to her? Why would you do? Okay. So that's God. That's God looking out. But you have to be patient enough. You have to use wisdom. You have to, discern. You don't look for trouble, but you be prepared for it.
Right.
You be prepared for somebody else to take a shortcut, for somebody else to undercut you, for somebody else to underestimate you, for somebody else to minimize you, because that's human nature. It's the same thing that allows people to want to put you into a box, to not allow you to be all the amazing things that you are. And that is absolutely demonstrated with our, current administration and the vibe of the world right now. Just understand, as a person of color, people aren't afraid of you. People aren't trying to block you because they think you are unworthy or because they think you are unqualified. If they really believe that, you would be a non-issue. You'd be water off of their back. But the truth is, they are very well aware how so many cultures make so much out of nothing. How in spite of the odds, how in spite of all the roadblocks, they not only survive, they thrive. And they thrive beyond those where all the systems are designed for them to win and you to fail. Yet here we come, setting trends, breaking science, establishing literature, fashion, music, education. When we put our minds to it, we are unstoppable. Humanity is unstoppable. So you let other people spend their time spinning their wheels, figuring out how to stop you and get in your way, and you just keep moving. And
I
by
love
grace of God, yes. And by
that.
grace of God, by the time they figure it out, you're already on the other side. Okay, bye.
Right?
Bye.
One thing that I keep hearing in your, I want to call it a testimony, but your life journey is a scripture that says your gift will make room for you and bring you in the presence of great men. And I just love how that has been a constant theme in your life. Now, going back to your songwriting process, in your opinion, what is the secret ingredient to making an unforgettable theme song?
Truth. Understanding the assignment, understanding the consistent arc through the project that you are writing for, and that's whether it is a theme song or a new hit record or a music to be used in a film or anything like that. Understand the assignment, understand what the story is, understand and be authentic about what you know. And if you don't know, find out, ask somebody what is genuine, what is authentic in telling this story. For me, I just wrote my story. And that's, I've written songs for different recording artists, for different film projects. Some are songs I wrote for myself as a recording artist that a producer or a studio felt, oh man, this song would be perfect for the soundtrack for this TV show or for this movie or for this artist. It's like, okay, they can relate to it, they can identify with it. But if you're hired to just write a specific piece for a specific reason, then you really have to understand the assignment. And a lot of times that requires you thinking beyond your own personal reality. If everything you write is from your own personal perspective, you're going to have a very limited catalog of stories to tell. So be interested in other people, be interested in other journeys. And, interested enough to be honest and to be transparent. Yeah.
You did mention all the different people that got a chance to sing your song. How did it feel to have Aretha Franklin sing
Oh,
your
come
verse?
on, come on. The original concept was to have it re-recorded every season. If you remember the Cosby Show, they had one theme song, but kind of redid it every year. So Phoebe, we heard Phoebe. Okay, first it was me, then it was Al Green. That was how I met Al Green. So they brought Al Green in to sing it. So I'm teaching Al Green the song, saying, no, Al, it goes like this. This is how it goes. Anyway. And it was me, Rochelle Farrell, and Lynn Fidmont singing backgrounds behind Al Green. So once we shot the pilot, this happened all between October and November of 1986. Hard to believe how long ago that was. Once we shot the pilot, and you could see how clearly female driven it was, they said, no, we have to have a female's voice. So that was when they brought Phoebe Snow in to sing the first season. That was when Lisa was on the show, Marissa Tomei was on the show, and I was jumping double dutch in the opening credits, right?
Yes,
Okay.
you were.
So I told you I wanted to be a double dutch champ, honey. I was jumping in my pumps. You couldn't tell me anything. All right. So then after that season aired, and then Debbie Allen came on board, and she reached out to Aretha because they wanted, like that was the plan. We're going to redo it. So when Aretha sang it, we all listened to it. It was like, I think we good. I think we're good. And that's what stayed for the next 4 seasons. Then I went and left and did Hang with Mr. Cooper. And then that 6th season was when they brought in Boys to Men and had them redo the show. I think because enough of us were now transitioned out of the show. I was gone, Sinbad was gone, Loretta Devine was gone. There were enough of us that weren't there. So I guess they wanted a different audio track to go along with the new look of the show.
Aretha's is my favorite version.
Mine too. I like Phoebe's a lot, though. Yeah. I like Phoebe's and I like Aretha's a lot. I have to say, yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. Now, one of my favorite episodes is when Gladys Knight was a guest star.
Yep, 3 girls.
So
three.
my
That's my
question,
favorite too. Being a pip.
Yes, so to this day, every time I hear Love Overboard, you cannot tell me I'm not Whitley or Jaleesa because I know every move to that because of that song. It's my favorite. So how was the rehearsal process, on top of, of course, learning your lines, blocking, but now you have to add choreography and singing and learning the songs.
It's the same as musical theater. Both Jasmine and I, Jasmine has an amazing dance background. She's an amazing dancer in her own right. She was in the cast of Fame. Both of us have done Broadway and off Broadway, so that wasn't a thing for us. The thing for us was singing with Gladys Knight. I had met, I call her that's my Aunt Gigi. She and I met maybe a year and a half prior to that episode. We met at an event where both of us were singing, and she saw me backstage and she said, you're on that show. I love you. You're just one. She and Lena Horne made me cry. The fact that either of them knew who I was, called me by name. So at the time Gladys was going on stage, her daughter and her son, rest his soul, Jimmy has passed away, but Kenya, her daughter, was there, and she says, Kenya, make sure Dawn has our information, and young lady, I expect to see a lot of you. So after that, I'm invited. They lived in Vegas. I'm invited to Vegas. I'm going by the house. I'm hanging with the kids. She's cooking. All of it. So by the time she got to the set, everybody was like, oh, Gladys Knight, Gladys Knight. I'm like, Gigi, yay. They're looking at me like, what you mean, Gigi? I said, that's my Gigi. Yes. So like, okay, I've been adopted. I have been adopted. And I got just a side note, just to say, coming in this industry, what humility will get you. The women that adopted me when I first got here, Gladys Knight, Natalie Cole, and Nancy Wilson.
Wow.
Those are my aunties coming up who taught me how to do this with grace, with humility. Because if someone like them can say please and thank you and be willing to help and assist, I was like, okay, so that's the way I want to do my career. That's the way I want to do my career. I want to be gracious. I want to be grateful, because all of this could be gone. And they would always tell me stories of what it was like for them, being so celebrated and then so minimized at the same time, and so excluded at the same time. The same person who's cheering your name and buying your concert tickets doesn't want you to have dinner at their table.
Right.
You know what I mean? Doesn't want you to be able to vote. All of those things. So I had a very grounded perspective of what this journey could be like. So singing with her in the recording studio, performing with her on stage, it was fantastic. It was one of the best experiences of my life. It really was. It really was.
That's amazing. Now, we talked about how you are a multi hyphenate, but what are some things that you enjoy or that you get a chance to do when you're not working?
I scuba dive. I play
Oh,
golf. I ride horses. I love tennis. I tried to play a few times. Several of the professional tennis players that have come up are friends of mine, and we could go play golf together, but I couldn't play tennis with them. So they said, Dawn, you got to learn how to play tennis. So
yeah.
Serena gave me some clothes and some shoes, and Katrina Adams gave me tennis rackets and balls, and Shanda Rubin gave me bags and tennis bags to carry out my stuff in. So honey, I was suited and booted. I
Yes.
would go out and take lessons, and I was actually getting pretty decent. Then one day I went right and my knees went left. And I was like, okay, all right. I heard something go pop. I was like, okay, all righty. I'm going to set this little down. And so when I watch the French Open, I would always go to Europe and watch Wimbledon, support the family, or the US Open, or, wherever they were. And when I was sitting at home, I would put on my little Serena clothes and I would watch the matches and cheer from the sidelines. And I still watch tennis to this day. I absolutely love tennis. And I still write, I still produce, I develop different TV series. So I'm working on selling a couple of series now. So I sold a series to ABC years ago, an hour-long action drama. And yeah, so I just keep trying to find different paths to explore
Yeah.
myself creatively. Yeah.
You talked about passing it on, and I love the work that you're doing with a New Day Foundation. Do you mind just telling our listeners about it and how we can help?
Sure. Oh, wow. Help is the big thing. The A New Day Foundation is a play on my name, Dawn, A New Day, where, like I told you, shared some of the things that were in my personal journey, going to public school, and some of the voices telling you what's not available to you, and don't waste your time aspiring to X, Y, and Z. The work we do with the A New Day Foundation is me being committed to introduce to underserved communities, black and brown kids primarily. We open our doors to everybody, but our target is black and brown kids ages 13 to 19, primarily to introduce them to different career and cultural opportunities that they don't normally have access to. So we do everything from coding to indoor skydiving to aerodynamics to music. I do a lot of voiceover work. So some of our workshops involve teaching young people how to produce and develop their own animation and video game projects. Drones. We do all kinds of things. Partnerships with law enforcement to teach young people this is how to get to and through your life, dealing with law enforcement and understanding the way things work, why they work the way that they work, so that you can not only navigate it, but you can have a more grounded understanding of why what's happening is happening, so that you can make personal choices that can not only keep you safe, but possibly keep you engaged. Civic engagement. We've taken them to City Hall so they can see how government works. All kinds of things. We just did a drone program for girls in Indianapolis, teaching them aerodynamics, drones, because drones are used for everything now. So we had 3 current female black airline captains join and work with the young girls. This summer, we're going to do a similar program for the boys. We have a national partnership with Topgolf for family engagement, improving communication between teen boys and their fathers or father figure, and teen girls and their mother figure. Our next event with Topgolf will be in Atlanta on Saturday, June 27th. We just finished our annual scholarship conference that focuses on financial literacy and technology. And that's for high school juniors and seniors and their parents, and college freshmen and sophomores. We gave away 7 scholarships of $2,000 each, accompanied by a laptop and a certificate that after your at least 1 successful year of college, we will pay for you to get an international passport so that you can travel the world and possibly even study abroad. So these are the kinds of things we do all year long. So please visit the website, anewdayfoundation.net. One of the things that I'm committed to doing is offering every program, every workshop free of charge. So when you talk about how you can help, the biggest way is by contributing. $5, $50, $5,000, $500,000, whatever you get, whatever you are able, and especially if you're able to do it consistently over time, that's what makes it possible. That's what keeps the work sustainable. I'm willing to do the work, but I can only do it with support. So if you're listening and you want to help and you want to support and you don't know exactly what to do, please consider supporting the work of the A New Day Foundation, and we will do the work.
So what are you currently dreaming up, and how can people find you online?
I'm on ABC on the new series R.J. Decker as his parole officer. Starting next week, I will be on Nemesis, a new series on Netflix. And this summer, I think, is when they're going to launch the A Different World reboot. You can catch me there. You can always catch me through the A New Day Foundation. And I'm also working on some new music. And like I said, working on selling a new TV series. So once that happens, hopefully you'll have me back so we can talk about that too.
Yes. Thank you for stopping by Faye's Place. You're welcome back anytime. And to
Thank
our
you.
listeners, if you enjoyed this episode and what we're doing here at Faye's Place, please like and give us a great rating on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. I love you all for listening. Hi friends, it's Phaedra, and you are listening to Faye's Place. Join us each week as we talk to industry insiders about their journey and what it takes to turn dreams into a reality. Whether you aspire to be in the entertainment field or just inspired by the hustle, count this as your backstage pass. Join us every Monday for a brand new episode. And also follow us on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook at FaZe Place.